July 7th here. So I was perusing the YouTubes last night, and I see a whole bunch of response videos to some new guy I'd never heard of, this Mooch. Didn't know who he was, never heard of him, and quickly surmised that he was the, I guess, newest member of the BGST. And I went to look at his channel. The guy had 5 videos, and the first thing I'm thinking is, why the fuck does anyone care what a guy with 5 videos has to say? So I went to the video that everyone was responding to, and I watched it. And I instantly knew what was going on, which in the short term, it's successful troll is successful because he spewed bullshit knowing that people would reply to it and it would up his video count. This is the reason why a guy with only 5 videos, whose channel has barely been in existence at all, already has 2,000 subs and is averaging 2,000 plus views per vid. Partly because he's counting on that PlayStation fan ire to boost his channel, and partly because he is being propped up by the rest of the BGST members, who, of course, all got their subsequent channel popularities off the back of Zaire, to a point where he is now one of the smallest followed channels in that group. I tell you what. Anyway, concerning this video, so there's a lot of factual inaccuracy here. Basically, the point that he was trying to make was that, sure, they've sold more PlayStation 4s, but no true gamer is going to care how many consoles are sold because they only care about the games, and that the that Xbox One games consistently outsell their PS4 counterparts. Well, first of all, that is massively inaccurate, and from a numbers standpoint, and secondly, a true gamer isn't going to care about sales of anything. They're going to care about whether the game is fun. So he's wrong on that count too. It's oh, I'm going to have fun with this. Anyway, so one of the things that he points out is he points to the massive success of Call of Duty Black Ops 3 on Xbox One compared to its sales on the PS4. This is an especially impressive feat considering the fact that the game is not for sale yet, hasn't come out. Now, obviously, what he was actually referring to was the pre-order numbers. Of course, he didn't say that, but that's what he was referring to. Or at least I hope that's what he was referring to. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here. The thing that was funny about him saying that was that when PlayStation supporters eventually found his video and started pointing out some of his factual inaccuracies in his video, he said that basically that anybody that went by VG Charts numbers was an amateur. One caveat with that, one major problem is that the pre-order numbers that he is pulling from to show that the Xbox One version of Black Ops 3 is doing better than the pre-order for the PlayStation 4 version, those numbers come from VG Charts. So he just bent right on over and shoved his own head right up his ass. He owned himself on that one. But, to continue, he also pointed to Destiny, saying that Destiny was more successful on the Xbox One. This is also massively factually inaccurate. The PlayStation 4 version of Destiny has historically shown more players playing on it and has more sales. You see, here's what they're doing, and they're kind of borrowing this page from distant MLD past, is that no other country but the United States matters. No countries but the United States and Canada matter. So all they go by are the NPD sales, which by this point are several months out of date anyway. You know, So if you look at the numbers that actually matter, which are the worldwide sales numbers, pretty much every game that's released for both of those systems sells massively more on the PS4. So much so that Ubisoft has actually come out on record and said that their games, for the most part, are selling 2-to-1 PlayStation 4 over Xbox. It's happening with pretty much just about all of the third-party games. In fact, off the top of my head, I can't think of any third-party games that has sold more on the Xbox One, which, that kind of makes sense when you think about it, because there's twice as many PlayStation 4s out there, so that's twice as many consumers that's potentially going to buy the game. So you would expect there to be higher sales numbers. That just goes with the territory. But they don't think of that kind of thing. So when that was pointed out to him, then he changes his modus operandi again, and from there he's talking about, well, you see, those are only physical releases. Those don't cover digital sales. Well, that's true of the Xbox One numbers too. These sites aren't tracking digital sales for either one of them. So what it's showing is that when it comes to physical copies, more people on the PlayStation side are buying these games than Xbox One. Meanwhile, they love to talk about how all of them will say the same thing. PS4's got no games. I've got a stack of 50 that I can sit in front of the camera and show you right now. It's laughable to me. It really is. And here's the funny part, first of all, no sales numbers matter except for the NPD numbers, but they were so excited about Xbox One's potential domination of China when the Xbox One was going to hit China. Came out in China, tanked right into the toilet. Didn't sell worth a shit. Don't hear them talking about China no more. All of a sudden, that's completely off their radar. A month or so ago, everyone was talking on their side was talking about how great Gamescom was, a European game conference. Right? Oh, Sony ain't going to even bother to show up because they got nothing to show. Meanwhile, the Tokyo Game Show is getting ready to hit. Sony releases this long list of stuff that they're going to be showing, along with mentioning that there was going to be several unreleased titles announced. But yet Gamescom was really important when Sony wasn't going to be there, and that's a European conference, but now they're trying to tell you that only sales in North America matter. Are you starting to see the pattern here? It's called hypocrisy, folks, and let me tell you how it works. Let's set the Wayback Machine for 2009. The YouTube gaming community is, for the most part, dominated by General MLD and his little group of Xbox Republic members. These people mostly spoke in a monotone voice and were meek, unassuming little nerdy guys with a few morbidly obese wannabe hipsters. And they all talked in that same kind of general, unemotional, bland, and boring tone of voice. And they all repeated whatever came out of General MLD's mouth. Whatever he was pushing, that's what they talked about. This is where they got the name Xbots, because they were all robotic clones of General MLD. Meanwhile, you had the Trey Brotherhood. The Trey Brotherhood was started by El Presidor, which we all know that El Presidor was a casual gamer who was mainly a troll, a video troll, a very entertaining video troll that didn't really know that much about gaming, but he didn't have to because his thing was about the entertainment factor. And as that group grew, what you had was you had General G, who looked like he was a member of a Mexican street gang. You had me, a southern redneck, smart-ass, ex-punk rocker. You had Solid Rev, big muscular Floridian who's always showing off his guns, sometimes his firearms too. You had Hellhound 30X, with his skull beanies and demonic imagery that he was always using in his videos. You had Infinite Retro, you know, the loudmouthed Aussie, the who's now posting videos about how much he likes to tie people up and stuff. But anyway, you had a group that vastly outnumbered the Xbox Republic, the Xbots, and had a totally different personality. You know, all of us were just being ourselves, but it was always kind of just letting loose, having fun, over the top, and just tearing these people up. You know, we dominated them constantly. You know, no one ever got a leg up on the Xbox side. It just didn't happen. And the reason being was because, not so much because of the fact that the Xbox were always focusing on the numbers, but they just weren't fun to watch. If nothing else, the Trey Brotherhood was always really fun to watch. Didn't matter who it was. If it was one of that group of 15 or 20 people, they were fun to watch. But we, for the most part, there was a few exceptions, like, say, The Truth Setting You Free and a couple others. But for the most part, that group fit into what you would now call E-tough guys. But we weren't trying to look like E-tough guys. We were just, this was our personality. This was who we were. This was how we dressed. This was how we talked. And it was just a total different, polar opposite of what MLD and his little group was doing. And what MLD and their group always focused on was sales. Sales, sales, sales. It was always about the sales. We would try to argue, you know, this game is more fun and we have it and you don't. This game is more fun. We have it and you don't. This game is better than that game that's a similar style. We have it and you don't. And they'd say, none of that matters. Our game could be inferior all day long. Doesn't matter. It sold more copies. That's what's important. And that was the one thing that they could go to. That was their go-to backup. If they were losing an argument, but guess what? We're still going to win the generation because we've sold more. That's all they cared about. That's all they gave a shit about. It was always sales, 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 sales. And so one of the very first videos that it was definitely in the first year, back in 2009, I made a video where I made two predictions. I predicted, one, that by the end of the generation, the PlayStation 3 would be burying the Xbox 360 in exclusives, and it did. And that, two, before the next generation consoles came out, the PlayStation 3 would outsell the Xbox 360. And I was right about that one too. I was right on both counts. And by the time that happened, all those guys had just kind of slowly petered out and wandered into the internet wastes, gone from YouTube forever, MLD included. And the reason being was because they had nothing left to argue. They lost. We said from the beginning PlayStation 3 is going to win. They laughed at us, and guess what? They lost. So this left a void in the community, and in comes these new guys. These guys of, shall we say, questionable intellect. And what are they doing? They are acting like E-tough guys. They are trying to be YouTube badasses. And instead of focusing on sales, they're trying to take a page out of the Trey Brotherhood playbook. So they're trying to flip sides on us because of the fact that right out of the gate, PlayStation 4 has been kicking the shit out of the Xbox One. This is not something that they were used to. You know, the PlayStation 3's victory over the Xbox 360 was a gradual thing over time, whereas the PS4 was kicking the shit out of the Xbox One right out of the gate. This is not something they're used to having to deal with. You know, they're used to their third-party exclusives selling more copies. They're used to their multiplats selling more copies. They're used to their consoles selling more copies. None of that is happening now, and they're not used to it. And so they respond by kind of trying to be, I guess you could say, the Xbox One Brotherhood. But here's the big problem, see? they're not compelling like the Trey Brotherhood was. They don't have the personality of the people that was in the Trey Brotherhood. They don't have the humor of the people that was in the Trey Brotherhood. They don't have the intellect of the people that was in the Trey Brotherhood. I mean, it's so bad in some respects that you got to give him where credit is due. You got to give him credit where credit is due. Zaire's pretty much the only one that even has the balls to put his face on camera. And I'm not on camera right now, but that's because I'm trying to hurry the fuck up and make this video, and my camcorder is dead. Plus, I haven't shaved yet, so I'm looking kind of like Boogie. But yeah, they won't even put their faces on camera. So it's like, you know, they want to put across this image of these, you know, street smart, tough street guys and blah blah blah, and you know, making threats and doing this kind of stuff. They're taking it to an extreme that the Trey Brotherhood never did. We never threatened to kick the shit out of anybody because we weren't trying to be tough guys. We weren't trying to be thugs. We were just being ourselves. That's not so much going on with these guys. These guys are trying to build a persona that doesn't work, and one of the main reasons it doesn't work is because none of them want to get on camera. All they want to have is their voice coming in over whatever footage they've recorded or what have you, and doing these little podcasts that they do and all this stuff. It's just not the same. And I think on the inside they know it's not the same, and it's never going to get as big as the Trey Brotherhood was. That's something that's never going to be repeated. It'll never happen again. That was just a particular moment in YouTube crumb side gaming history that shall never repeat itself. They're not going to duplicate its success. They're not even going to get close. They may get subs and they may get views, but they're not going to have the impact that we had. It's just not going to happen. And especially not if they're blatantly spewing out lies and bullshit. I mean, this is this is Pyro 2000X level bullshit. This is saying shit like this is why nobody in the Trey Brotherhood respected Pyro 2000X, because he would take news stories and try to twist them around into meaning stuff that they didn't mean, and he was always spewing out factually inaccurate information. It was this kind of shit, the exact shit that they're doing. It's almost like they're modeling themselves as far as the news that they put out after Pyro, thinking that he was in the Trey Brotherhood, but he never was, because we all recognized him as a dumbass and mocked him incessantly. But at any rate, you have to laugh, and it's just ironic. It's incredibly ironic to me that this guy who has joined this group, whose members have, and this is documented, had racist things to say about non-American folks, non-American developers, right? He joins this group, and what does he pick? What does he pick for the theme music for his intro? Real American by Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan's entrance music. You know, Mr. I don't want my daughter dating a black rapper. Oh, really? That's... That's what you're going to go with. And on the microphone, he sounds like Vince Russo. This is their new shining star. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit, son. It ain't gonna fly as long as I'm around. This is 7.